In the previous video I demonstrated to you how the Air Accident Investigation Branch Bulletin G-Mustang is falsified. I'm now going to demonstrate to you how all the media images of that accident are also falsified. What I've done on this board is set out the field where the plane allegedly crashed. Remember, this is the field here, wreckage coming out from the tree bearing 225 degrees, track out to the wreckage. In the corner here you have a bank and there's dung heap. This hedge line runs dead north, this head boundary here runs almost due east-west. So we've got the bank there, that's 91 feet long. You run along this north-south boundary, you come up to the accident tree represented by the pencil. The wreckage was on a bearing 225 degrees to that tree and 57 metres away, which puts it there. So the distance at right angles to that hedge line to the wreckage, approximately 133 feet. East-west boundary represented by that board. This is actually a photograph of part of that boundary. This is this bank represented by this. Very distinctive hedge line here. And here you have a 20-mile-an-hour sign, which is, that signboard is 45 centimetres square. It's a very important reference point. This hedge line here and this here. Now, we'll just have a look at a Guardian picture. This Guardian picture was allegedly taken on the 2nd of October, the day of the accident. It couldn't have been. Now, first, look at the aeroplane. Imagine if you're standing behind the rudder and looking forward, what do you see in front of you? And at what angle are you to what is the north-south boundary? I would say you're 90 degrees and you're seeing the bank. So the aeroplane is over there somewhere. But it's there in the Air Accident Investigation Branch report. It's quite simple really. If you just stood behind the aeroplane, what would you see in front of you? You would see the tree that you impacted with and the hedge. There's the aerial view. There's the aeroplane wreckage there. You're looking forward towards the tree that was impacted with. You would see the tree and the hedge. You could never see the bank. So that's how you can demonstrate that picture was falsified. Another way you demonstrate that picture was falsified was because on the day of the accident, at the time of the accident, the sun was in a position of 227 degrees. If you look on top of the fuselage here, you've got the aerial mast here, and it casts a shadow. In all the pictures, these media pictures, you'll find that shadow position never moves, the time never changes. This is G-Mustang, the shadow being cast over here, enlargement, you see it on top of the fuselage. That's part of that Guardian picture there, you see the shadow line. Now, if you get a torch and shine it on there, because it's going to be about there, the shadow is being cast behind the back of the fuselage. So at the time of the accident and thereafter, the shadow from the aerial mast was being cast over the back of the fuselage. That picture couldn't have been taken on the day of the accident. What someone did with these images, they went to the accident site and they took a photograph of this east-west boundary. That's that east-west boundary there. That's the 20-mile-an-hour sign. That's the bank. This is the media picture here. Look, that's the 20-mile-an-hour sign. Look at the distinctive hedge line here and here. So they took a photograph of the hedge line and then they added in all the foreground and the bank and all the emergency service personnel. What we can do, look, is in that picture there, I can take this other picture and I can put it into this picture. And look, it lines in perfectly, doesn't it? Look at the ground line, runs in perfectly, even the bank line, it all matches in perfectly. I can even, from this image, take that part of the image, which I cut out there, and I can put that into the same picture again, which was, I marked all this, about there. Now can you see how it all lines in perfectly again? And the aircraft is in completely different positions. Look at its position relative to that 20 mile an hour sign. There. Now the person who added in the foreground, etc., made a mistake because the bank is in the wrong position. If you look at the picture here, that bank actually comes in on this point here and adjacent to 20 mile an hour sign, which is there. So this bank should actually be right up here, and that Mustang should be straddling the bank. Here it should actually be in the dung heap, and there it should be in the dung heap as well. That's how that image was constructed. Also, you see that 20 mile an hour sign, look at its proximity to the bank, which is the boundary, north-south boundary of that field. So it's just literally feet from that boundary. So the aircraft can't be more than a few feet away from that north-south boundary. But the Air Accident Investigation Branch picture says that it's over 133 feet away from that boundary. Well, it can't be, can it? Now, the oddity is, and you have to ask yourself the question, why would someone go to the accident site, photograph the boundary of that east-west boundary, and go and then construct these images? And they've gone to an enormous amount of trouble to try and get the detail right, because if you compare the wreckage in these pictures, it correlates exactly with the wreckage in the Air Accident Investigation Branch report. Why didn't they just take a photograph of the aeroplane? Why would you go to all this trouble to fabricate a picture and put it into different positions? Because they know the exact configuration of that wreckage. Exactly the same as that appeared much later in the Air Accident Investigation Branch report. The only explanation is that the people who fabricated these images are the same people who fabricated the images in the Air Accident Investigation Branch report. It can only be the work of one party. Right, we'll move on now. Now, okay, just going back, remember when I was talking to you about the final tire mark and it being, there were no plotters, they hadn't staked it. That's an Air Accident Investigation Branch employee. Look, and he's marked a piece of wreckage and he's calculating its position. Now, these are AAIB employees at an accident. Look, they're examining that wreckage. Look how they're wearing these fluorescent jackets with their name on. Now, in all these media pictures, you don't actually see any AAIB employees. All you see is fire service personnel. You don't see any Air Accidents Investigation Branch employees or any of their vehicles. Very odd as well. Right, this video is about to run out, so in the next one I'll take you through in more detail and show you how these other corruptions in these images